I'd like to go back to the Emmaus Gospel that we had last Sunday. I think it's a really good gospel story for our times. I think we can put ourselves into the shoes of those two disciples as they walked that road. Downcast, confused, they're thinking of all that has happened and unable to understand all the different events that occurred. They know what they've seen. They saw Jesus, a prophet mighty in word and deed. They were hoping that he would be the Redeemer of Israel. But now, on that Easter Sunday, they don't know what to make of his violent death at the hands of their rulers. And maybe that confusion is the same situation that we find ourselves in now. We're making our way down a very difficult road through this pandemic. We're making our way along the road figuratively because the borders are closed, we can't get out of Cambodia, and we're supposed to stay at home. But like those disciples, we're making our way through this pandemic, and we're unable to understand all that has occurred in the last 3 months. The year started out so uneventfully, but in the space of a few short months, millions of people have become sick. Thousands of people, tens of thousands of people have died. Many have lost their jobs, their incomes, their security, their safety. For those disciples on the road, in their turmoil and their sadness, their distress, they can't even recognize Jesus as he comes up to walk along with them. But they listened to him, and then they explained how they had gone to the tomb and found it empty, but hadn't found Jesus. Maybe that's how it is with us too. We can feel that we're confronted with an empty tomb. What do we do? And where is Jesus in these really difficult times for us? All we can see maybe is meaningless tragedy and suffering, and we don't see Jesus in this at all. It's good then to look, how did Jesus make himself known to the apostles at Emmaus? First, the gospel tells us he interprets for them all the scriptures that referred to him. He showed how God had always been with his people. And then, after opening the scriptures for their understanding, Jesus sat down at the table with them, and the gospel says he took bread, he blessed it, he broke it, he gave it to the disciples. Exactly what he did at the Last Supper. When he did that at the Last Supper, Jesus did it to show the disciples, I'm going to stay with you. You won't see me, but I will be with you. And maybe now that's the lesson that we have to learn. We too have to listen to the scriptures and remind ourselves of God's presence with us, God's great love for us, God's continuing care and protection for all his people. And then we too need to continue to celebrate the Eucharist. That's the way that Jesus chooses to be with us, always. We can't gather for the Eucharist right now, but the day is coming when that will change. Maybe this experience of the pandemic will also help us to understand better the reality of the Eucharist. What does it mean for us? In every Eucharist, we reenact what Jesus did for those disciples at Emmaus. He reveals himself to us on our journey. Wherever we are on our journey, Jesus shows himself to be there with us. He speaks to our hearts in the scriptures. And then at the table of the altar, through the person of the priest, he breaks the bread. He blesses it. He gives it to us to tell us, I am going to be with you. On that first Easter Sunday, the disciples at Emmaus begged Jesus, stay with us, and he did. And though he has vanished from our sight, in the Eucharist as at Emmaus, we know him in the breaking of the bread, and he will continue to be God's love and care for us as God's children.